Well, I also want to talk about Operation Bodyguard. It was crucial to turn the tides of war, to win the war, basically, and make Allies landing in Normandy successful. Its goal was to mislead Wehrmacht, to put German on other trail. So, did Operation Bodyguard prove necessity to use deception in war of some kind?
So I think it did. I mean, in terms of the Allied invasion of Sicily, and then obviously in Normandy, and to a lesser extent the south of France and the Riviera, those deception plans were vital because, of course, the Germans had a finite amount of divisions available, and they had to try and figure out where they needed to deploy them best. And obviously, what Churchill successfully did with Roosevelt was he got this Mediterranean first strategy in that they would clear the access from North
Operation Mincemeat, right?
Yes, Operation Mincemeat. They would then invade Sicily and the Italian mainland. And all those operations helped distract the Germans from what Stalin wanted, which was the opening of a second front in France, because obviously that would put the Allies that much nearer to Berlin than if they were struggling up through the Balkans or through Italy. As you well know, Balkans full of mountains, Italy full of mountains.
Yeah.
South of France is a long way from Paris and indeed getting to the Rhine. So all these deception plans were very important in terms of distracting the Germans as to where the main blow of the Allied operations would land, if you like. Now, famously, of course, Churchill, quite wrongly as it turned out, viewed Italy as the soft underbelly of Europe. He thought if the Allies could push up through Europe very quickly, they could reach Austria and then Berlin and hasten the end of the war, which actually, of course, was not such a silly strategy. But the problem he had was A, Italian geography, and B, the speed with which the Germans reacted to the downfall of Mussolini, because, of course, they occupied northern Italy, which then turned the fighting in Italy into a slogging match, and it took the Allies forever to even get to Rome. You know, they liberated Rome pretty much at the same point that the D-Day landings were taking place. So yes, deception was very, very important. Again, in terms of D-Day, you've got things like Operation Fortitude, which tried to convince the Germans that the Allies would land in Norway. So there were lots of different, will the Allies land in Norway? They will land in France, southern France. Will they continue in Italy? Will they land in the Balkans? Will they land in Greece, perhaps? Will they come into Yugoslavia, perhaps? There are all these options that the Allies had, whereas ultimately, of course, France was actually the best route across northern Europe to get to Berlin. And also, of course, by the Allies landing in northern France, that would force Hitler to redeploy some of his divisions from Eastern Europe, which, of course, is what Stalin desperately needed, was to alleviate some of the pressure off the Red Army.
We stay genuine, uncensored and unscripted, and we always will, as we have to order our usual. Share us and subscribe us, and stay tuned until the next Wednesday. Iguzo!